What is going on, everybody? This video, my 2013 Civic really needs some rear brakes. They've been making noises. I thought it was my wheel bearing at first, but if you take a look in here, maybe at the right angle, I can tell that these brakes are really low. So let's go through and do that. So first we're going to jack up the car, and I'll be using this little guy. It's like a really hard rubber, and it's got this slit right up here so you don't damage your car in these places. You see right along here, this is where the body gets pinched right here. This is where most people jack it up, and it's also where most people bend it and ruin it, so that's why they made one of those. If you want one of those, you can check description below, I'll link it, but pretty cheap, and it works. Alright, so I raised it up just enough to get the wheel off the ground, put my jack stand in place. Now I gotta remove all of the lug nuts. And now that I have those off, I did have my parking brake on to get these off because, you know, I always forget. But parking brake on, you can get these off if your wheel is off the ground. If not, do it before. But make sure your parking brake is off before you start doing the brakes, or else you'll never be able to get them off. So now that we have the wheel off, we're going to come over here to the side on the caliper, and right across here there's a 12mm bolt that we're going to crack loose, and then down here, same thing, 12mm bolt, and now we're going to take these bolts out. And once you get both of those bolts out, then before you can pull it out, you actually have to come around to here up top, and the brake line that you have that goes all the way across and then up into here is actually bolted into place right here, and it's just a little bit too tight to pull this whole thing out. So you need to come in, pop this bolt out just so it's loose to where you can take this out. And once that comes out, you can see I lifted it out over here. It's the same size bolt, 12mm. This caliper will be able to slide out, and now you have your brake pads. So if you're just going to do your brake pads, then this is where you stop. Just take off these plates that come with it. Save those, because I'm sure the new ones don't have them. And then these will come out. Now it takes quite a bit to pry these things out, but once I did get them out, this is what I noticed on the inside. You can see how it's down to bare metal right here, and it's not up here. When that happens, then these little pistons here that have the grease on the inside, one of these is not working, and this one's a little bit tough. This one was tough too, but once I moved it around, I broke it free. This one's still pretty tough to move. So what I'm gonna have to do is lift this out. You just have to break the seal up here, and it's a pin that comes out, and you just have to re-grease the inside of these. Okay, so here I have it, the little boot taken off. You can see there's a little lip in here, which is where this rubber boot comes into. I just got a small flathead, like this one. Just be careful not to damage or puncture the little rubber boot. And all you gotta do is just take this out, re-grease it, and put it back in, move it around, make sure it's easily movable. So now with some fresh grease, I just pushed it in, the boot popped right back into place because it's nice and greasy. And now it is moving much better. So now that both of these are nice and greased up and easily movable, if you want to do the rotors like I am, especially with uneven wear, you need to take this out, a little bracket, and if you go behind here, you're going to have a 14mm here and a 14mm up here. Break those loose and this whole thing should come out. Okay, so I finally cracked them loose, and the way I did it, because they were really difficult, I got my breaker bar, and if you finagle around the caliper, you can get it down on that one, and if you just move the line out of the way, you can get to, wrong one, the one up here. And once you get the breaker bar in, it's super, super easy. And now that those bolts are out, this will come straight out, and now we can get to work on the actual rotor. Now, working on the actual rotor, you have to take out these 2 bolts, or screws, that keep this in place, which almost all the time are rusted in place. Now, you can do it a few different ways. You can get a Phillips head and hammer it and try to loosen them up, or a hammer and try to loosen them. You can probably do heat and get these loose, but the way that the Honda mechanics do it is they have an impact screwdriver, which is what I recently got from Amazon, and I'm gonna test it out now. So here it is. If you guys need one of these or want one of these, I got it 11 bucks on Amazon, and like all of my other videos, I'll link it down below just in case you guys want to pick this up and make your life a little bit easier. But pretty straightforward. You hammer it and it'll either slightly turn it right or left. You can see up here it'll have R and L, and all you have to do is twist it. It goes down a little bit. You can twist it to one side or the other, so when you hit it, it either tightens or loosens the screw. Alright, success on the first one. No stripping, nothing. Looks perfect. Okay, so I tried to record myself getting the last one out, but phone decided to say F you. Here it is. Here is the second one that I popped out. I mean, this thing, where'd it go? It's over here. This thing makes it so much easier to take these things out, and honestly, it's something I should probably have. Now, you can put a flathead. It comes with a few other things in the package. A few other heads that you can have in there, 2 flatheads and 2 Phillips, 2 different ones. And the cool thing about this is it's not just a screwdriver. You can also put a socket at the end of this. So if you've got like a stuck bolt or something, you can put like whatever size it is that fits on here and smack it. So it's like a slowly turn it so you don't round off any heads of whatever. So this thing works and I love it, and it's part of my new tool collection. So the next step that we have is we have to take the rotor off. You can either get screws in here, hammer it around a little bit to loosen it up, just like most cars, whatever your preference is. I'm replacing this, so I don't care about damaging the smooth area here with a hammer in case I need to, but first off, I'm gonna smack around here with a hammer, and then if that doesn't work, just destroy this thing until it pops off. Because I never have any of these lying around. I wish I did. I always wanted to do that. Okay, I finally got it off after smashing in between each of the bolts here. Finally got it free. There it is over there. Now I get to grab my new ones, and of course I'll link all this stuff that I use below, but I have, it's not like a fully treated, but it's apparently on the website it says it is a partially treated, so like the insides, like around here and in here, I think, are treated so they won't rust. So yeah, let's see how these look. Yes, look at these gorgeous things. Inside is treated, so supposedly this inside part's not going to rust. They do have some that it's treated here, but I mean, even if it is treated, your brake pads are going to wear down that outer coating anyway, so it doesn't really matter. This stuff in here, usually where you get that really big lip where rust starts to build up, you can see right here the lip that starts to build up, rust on the inside, rust all around the middle. This is supposed to prevent that, and strangely enough, it was the same price as the normal ones that were untreated, so yeah, definitely grab these. Alright, so here's the thing. You do not need to put these back in. Apparently these are from the factory just to keep these in place while they assemble the car. No other car that I know of has these, because all of the other cars, the wheel and the lug nuts keep this thing in place, keep it from moving. So if you want to, you can pop those screws back in. If not, you can definitely leave them out. It's not going to harm anything. So I'm going to pop mine back in just because I have the special tool now, which is awesome. But yeah, I just have to finagle it around this little rusted area on the inside so it's actually fit into place, and then we'll move on. All right, now that this is back on, I put the little screws in because I could, but like I said, you didn't have to. Now, our next hurdle, besides getting those screws out when doing this brake job, is to press these back in. These are not like every other car that I've ever had. These actually have a twist. So there's a special tool that you can put in here, and you turn it right to go back inside. The little piston will come back in if you turn it clockwise. Now, I'm not buying another tool, and I know anyone watching this probably doesn't want to buy it either. So there's a few different ways you can do this. Apparently this is easy enough to turn that you can get some needle nose pliers and pop it in here and just turn it back in. And I've also seen another one, I don't remember off the top of my head, he actually used vice grips and a flat piece of metal that fit in between that and just turned it. So I'm gonna try both and see which one's easier. So for this, you're supposed to put it in between both of these, and then give it a nice twist once it's in there. This is difficult. Well, it does twist a little bit. Kind of in an awkward position right now for the camera, but I did get it to twist a little bit, so it's not extremely difficult to press in. There it goes. So I can turn it a little bit. Now I'm gonna try the vice grip method to see if that's any better. Now don't you dare judge me, but this was the only piece of metal I had lying around. It's huge, but it's the only thing that I had. Now I just did this a second ago, and wow, this is way easier. So, definitely if I had something smaller, oh, it gets old. Thank you, truck, I'm not doing a video. So, as it gets closer and closer to the inside, it becomes much easier to turn. And then, once you get everything flat, then you're done. That's as far as it needs to go in. So, yeah, this method actually works a lot better. I just make sure you get a piece of metal that fits in there a little bit better. Something obviously thicker, but I mean, thin works, just the right size would probably make this a lot easier. And I got my little itty bitty vice grips too, so I could move it around this little area. So now that that is in place and it's been pressed back, now we can put the bracket back on, the two bolts right back to where they were up here, and then we can put the new pads in. So now that that bracket is on, it is tight, it's not going anywhere, grab your brake pads. This one already has the little bracket on there. So for me, I'm gonna grab my little brake quiet thing. Definitely can't read that. There you go. Caliper grease. Put that on the back of here so I don't have any noises down the road. This is the one with the tab, so it goes on the inside, and the other one without the tab also has the little plate on it, is going to go on the inside. Alright, so your front one you can go ahead and pop into place. Because of these brackets on here, it can be held in place pretty easily, so that's not going to go anywhere. So this is on. Now something to note is when you put this one on and you want to put it in here, put the tabs in, on the back of this you've got your little nubs. You have to make sure at least this nub, since it's going to be going in like that, you have to make sure that you look and that nub is going into one of those grooves. Okay, so I just threaded these in so the caliper is in place where it should be, And just a note that, see these right here, that's the top of the bolt for what I re-greased, this caliper pin. Now, because it's super greasy, you can just grab some kind of pliers or something while you're screwing this in, since this one is gonna turn since it's all greasy. Just grab onto it, not really tight, you don't have to, it just turns in place. So hold on to that while you tighten the bolt here, just so you can get it tight enough to get it all the way in so it's just not turning in place, not going anywhere. Okay, so once those are nice and tight, don't forget to come back here and put the bolt back in for your brake line. And there you guys go. That's what it looks like once you put the wheel and tire back on. It's gorgeous, it's new, and no more weird grinding noise when I turn because the little thing was screwed up. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. If you want anything that I used in here, like that cool tool that I used to get those Phillips heads out, go ahead, check down below. Like I said, always have links, help you guys out, get tools if you absolutely need them. If not, then I show you different ways to do it, like I did with pushing the piston back in. So come back soon for more videos.